The story begins with the fall of a meteor on a mountain in China, which is exactly where the family of young Momo is going to relax. Her father is named Lao, and her mother is the lawyer Mei, who can't stop thinking about work even during the trip. When the car jolts suddenly, Mei discovers that she has run over a rabbit and asks her husband for a plastic bag. Momo asks why, feeling disgusted when her mother says it could make a good stew. As the family returns to the car, we see something hidden in the bushes, watching the three of them. Nearby, two technicians are heading to a cell tower that seems to be having problems and, upon arriving, they are astonished by the overall state of destruction. The tower looks like it was knocked down by something, but they don't understand what could have such strength. At the same time, Momo and her parents arrive at the resort and are dismayed to find there is no signal. Uncle Yang soon comes to welcome them and indicates the way to the waiting area. Then a young couple, June and Lulu, arrive, saying they are going to hike in the mountains. June asks to borrow Yang's shotgun in case there are wild animals, but Yang says the animals won't bother them. If the couple is thinking of hunting, it's better to wait until the next day since it's already getting dark. The couple ignores his advice and heads into the mountains, where we see that there is a kind of egg hidden in the bushes that is already beginning to move. Mei tells her husband that she didn't like the other couple and tries to extract gossip about them as soon as Yang arrives. He says the boy is the boss's son and is the typical useless rich kid who only knows how to have fun at the expense of others. Momo complains that she has no internet, and Yang explains that some things are turned off during the low season since the hotel is quite empty in the summer. Despite that, cell signals usually work well and should return soon. Little does he know that the technicians responsible for the repair are being hunted in the bushes at that very moment. The first is attacked from behind suddenly, and the other tries to run away but ends up falling into a creek, where the mysterious creature also catches him. At the hotel, the young Shueding tells her boyfriend Jianming that maybe they should leave soon since she works in a hospital and the lack of communication worries her. But Jianming reminds her that he is about to close a deal with June and therefore does not want to upset him. When Momo's family settles into the cabin, she goes to the garden to make nature videos and doesn't even realize she is straying far away. It's then that she sees another lifeless rabbit and starts to get scared, grabbing a knife to defend herself against the boy who is approaching. He is a hotel employee named Ling, and he tries to reassure the girl, but a sudden crash nearby leaves her even more frightened. Momo trips and ends up injuring Ling when she falls, fleeing right afterward. At night, Lao and Mei sing happy birthday to their daughter, who does not seem very excited. Mei quickly loses patience with this ingratitude, and the argument between the two ends with a slap. Momo runs off crying and locks herself in her room. Through the window, she sees June and Lulu in a romantic moment and begins filming them until something starts moving in the garden. Her mother interrupts the filming by suddenly turning on the light. While Shui gives her boyfriend an ultimatum, saying she will leave with or without him, Momo manages to escape to the garden to look for the mysterious creature. Mei appears to drag her back, and as the two move away, we see something that looks like a giant lizard passing quickly. As soon as June and Lulu go to their room, the creature enters through the balcony and attacks the girl. June is so distressed that he goes to the neighboring cabin and starts pounding on the door, shouting that there is a monster on the loose. Lao opens the door very startled, and June enters with his friends, including Shui and Jianming. A boy named Hua, who is Lulu's brother, goes to check the room and finds no monster. Everyone is clearly doubting June's account until Momo shows the video of the creature and June confirms that it was that which kidnapped his girlfriend. Ling is having dinner with Yang when someone starts shouting on the radio. June orders that the shotgun be brought immediately because there is a monster attacking people. Thinking it's just another prank from the boy, Yang just rolls his eyes and says he'll be right there. Ling becomes concerned when he sees him grab the weapon after practically getting drunk during dinner, and decides to accompany him. The group lies in wait inside the cabin until Hua decides to go out to look for his sister, saying that she might still be alive. Mei forbids Momo from going with him, and then Shui offers to go, criticizing the men in the group for their cowardice. Jianming is offended by this and decides to help as well, but June continues to pretend. Still thinking it's all a joke, Yang walks leisurely with Ling and even stops along the way to relieve himself. Meanwhile, the two boys barely start searching and already discover the bad news. Jianming feels a drop on his face and looks up, getting a huge scare when a body crashes down. Hua is inconsolable seeing what the creature did to his sister. Not far away, Yang is getting dizzy from the effects of the drink when a pair of bright eyes emerge in the darkness. Ling realizes he is taking too long and starts looking for him until he hears Lao's voice on the radio. Calling Yang, he reports what happened to Lulu and recommends great caution on the way to the cabin. Ling responds that he also found something strange. Meanwhile, Jianming says it could still just be a very large animal, but Shui rejects the hypothesis. She states that she examined Lulu and there's no doubt they are dealing with something especially dangerous. Increasingly frightened, June tells Hua to go get the car key, saying that everyone will die if they stay there. Hua loses patience and says June can go get it himself. The argument is interrupted by knocks at the door and everyone goes on high alert, but they breathe a sigh of relief upon hearing Ling's voice. He says Yang got lost on the way there, and afterward, he only found a trail of blood. Ling thinks it's very risky to go out now, but Momo gets nervous hearing that and remembers that Lulu was attacked inside the house. June agrees with her and notes that Ling at least has Yang's shotgun, but then he reveals that there are only 2 bullets left. Finally, the group decides to stay right there, and Mei decrees that no one should be alone under any circumstances, as both attacks happen far from large groups. Taking advantage of this cue, June offers to accompany Ling when he says he is going outside to fetch everything they can use for defense. However, Hua suspects he will try to escape and resolves to go alone. Momo opens the window to watch the boys going to the house next door. Ling breaks a window to enter, and June stays back with the shotgun but begins to sneak away from the other 2. Holding a piece of wood, Hua quietly follows him and is about to strike June when he suddenly turns around and squeezes the trigger. Ling runs to help Hua, but it's too late. June asks why he was going to attack him, and Hua says the horrible end of his sister was all his fault. At the same time, the light in the cabin suddenly goes out, and everyone panics, running to hide behind something. We see the creature passing through the garden very close to the window. Mei tries to calm the others by saying that the beast cannot get in there since all the windows are tightly closed. Momo ends up confessing that she left one of them open, to everyone's despair. She barely finishes admitting her mistake when the uncertain footsteps of the beast are already heard on the 2nd floor. Under Mei's command, the group bolts towards the car, encountering June and Ling along the way. Just as they are crossing the bridge, the creature jumps out of the river and knocks Momo into the water. Mei immediately jumps in to save her daughter, and while everyone works to rescue them both, June quietly slips away with the shotgun. Mei helps Momo up onto the bridge but cannot save herself and disappears below the surface. Lao and his daughter are devastated by the loss, and Shui tries to comfort them while June is already driving towards the exit. Very nervous, he loses control of the car on a curve and crashes into the barrier, becoming partially hung up. The others are still trying to take shelter from the heavy rain when the creature appears at the top of the cliff above them. Holding their breath, they wait until the thing moves away before proceeding. At the same time, June tries to open the door without destabilizing the car, and the vehicle tumbles down from the height, exploding when it lands right in the middle of the bridge. But then we see that June managed to jump out just in time, narrowly escaping. The other survivors take refuge in the infirmary and wait for daybreak. Then they carefully emerge and walk slowly until they spot Lao's car. As soon as he unlocks the doors, everyone quickens their pace, but Shui stumbles and falls. Jianming goes back to help her, and it's right at that moment that they hear a furious roar. The monster emerges from behind a cabin, revealing that it has been between them and the car all along. Everyone starts running in panic, but it is much faster than the humans and quickly catches up with them, grabbing Momo by the foot. The floorboards break, and the girl falls into the hole. The monster is about to leap onto her when Ling breaks a chair over its head. He runs off then, with the furious lizard in hot pursuit, while the other 3 jump into the hole and begin to escape through the sewage, carrying Momo. Unfortunately, the monster returns just as they reach a barrier. Everyone starts screaming when that thing comes galloping through the shallow water, and Lao can only remove the latch at the last second. Jianming slams the grate in the monster's face, which only manages to injure his arm. The 4 of them rise to the surface, and Jianming says he more or less knows where they are and how to reach the VIP area, where his car is parked. He starts guiding the others there but then suddenly stops, as he realizes something is wandering above. The monster jumps to the ground so quickly that they only see its tail passing by the window, and the group ends up separating into two pairs before the thing invades. Momo shrinks under a table, and it's right above her that the lizard decides to stroll. The girl holds back a scream when a huge claw grips the edge of the table. Seeing his daughter in danger, Lao begins to shout and smash things around him, diverting the beast's attention before hiding as well. It falls to Jianming and Shui, who come face to face with the lizard and have to turn around and run. Shui is about to be attacked when a loud alarm starts to sound and Ling bursts into the room with a fire extinguisher, bravely facing the monster. He is dazed by the smoke and tries to advance toward Momo, but ends up getting stuck, and Lao manages to get the girl out of there. Ling is already waiting for the clash when the lizard breaks free. He provokes the beast again and starts knocking everything over behind him until he reaches a large glass window. Luring the creature toward him, he waits until it leaps to get his body out of the way. The plan works, and the monster ends up crashing through the window unwittingly, but this doesn't help by much time. As soon as Ling joins Jianming and Shui, the lizard is already back inside. Each of them squeezes into a different cupboard and watches the creature prowling the corridors. Seeing that it is getting dangerously close to the cupboard where Shui is hiding, Jianming decides to sacrifice himself for his girlfriend and slams the door open. The monster takes him out in mere seconds and begins to drag him by his foot. As soon as the danger passes, Shui goes into a panic, and the others do what they can to help her. However, to make matters worse, the monster takes Jianming to the roof, and Shui is so traumatized by the sight that she faints. Ling says that he can go get the car and bring it to the door, but Lao offers to go in place of the boy, who has already risked so much for the others. Momo pleads with him to be careful, and Lao stealthily moves along the walls with extreme caution to avoid drawing unwanted attention. However, as soon as he leaves the building, June spots him from afar and starts shouting, asking them to wait for him. The monster stops eating Jianming immediately and starts chasing Lao to the car. He manages to get in while running, but the beast charges violently against the window, and fear causes Lao to drop the keys. When the glass breaks, the monster stretches its neck to devour its prey. Luckily, Lao also stretches his arm to grab the key and manages to start the engine, knocking the intruder down and taking off at full speed. Lao glances in the rearview mirror and can't believe that the creature not only has recovered but is almost catching up with him. While Ling and Shui try to stop Momo from going after her father, the beast jumps onto the car roof and Lao is forced to make all sorts of maneuvers to throw it off again. June has already joined the other two running after Momo when the monster lands again on the car and begins breaking the windshield. Finally, one of its paws crashes through the glass and hits the driver, causing another sudden stop. Wounded, Lao fills with rage upon seeing that creature rising up easily once more. Momo is already getting close and starts calling for her father, crying. Lao smiles at her one last time before letting out a scream of hatred and stomping on the accelerator. Then, the monster jumps on the hood, and Lao drives the car off the cliff. Momo watches the vehicle fall, ending in an explosion, and begins to slap June in a fit of rage. After she calms down, Ling takes them to another car so they can finally get away. He hands a phone to Momo, revealing that Lao had already prepared in case something happened to him. He recorded a video for his daughter, lamenting not being with her from then on, but reinforcing his love and asking her to move on. His words also comfort Shui, and the two embrace. Just when it seems that everything will be fine, they reach the bridge that was destroyed by June's car and realize that they are trapped on the mountain. The only exit at the moment is through the cable car. June, who won't part with the gun for anything, is startled when a tree begins to shake and then sees that it's just a flock of birds. However, we see that his fears are not unfounded, as the monster is indeed rising again at that very moment. When Ling sees it climbing the structure, he waits for the cart to approach one of the towers and tells June to jump. After much whining, he obeys and stretches out to grab the edge. In the back cart, the other two are horrified to realize what is happening. Shui tells Momo to go first, but she has an injured arm and says she won't be able to hold on. She ends up staying in the cart while the other jumps, and can't grab her hand in time. Seeing the girl in trouble, Ling leaps to the carts of the opposite row and also extends his hand, but she is too far away. Now the three adults are at the top of a tower while Momo's cart continues toward the next tower, where the creature is waiting for her. With the shotgun, Ling begins sabotaging the cable car's gears and manages to make it stop. The monster does not give up and leaps to one of the carts, reaching Momo's cart shortly afterward. Trying to escape from the beast, she loses her balance and falls from the heights. Moreover, the monster also breaks free right after. The other three descend from the tower and begin to search the woods for Momo but find nothing. Ling tells the two to light a fire to attract the rescue teams while he continues the search, but Shui refuses to abandon the girl. Jun, still only thinking of himself, says that Momo has no chance of surviving and it's foolish to risk their lives to find her. Ling responds that he promised Lao he would get her home safely, and Shui tells Jun to stay there alone if he is so afraid to go with them. Not wanting to admit his cowardice, he says it is already getting dark and reminds them that only one bullet remains in the shotgun. Seeing he won't be able to convince the others, Jun takes the gun from Shui's hands and forces Ling to pass him the flashlight, abandoning the two to their own fate. Armed only with branches, they continue looking for Momo until Ling finds blood in a stream. He begins to cover his body in mud to confuse the monster's smell, and Shui imitates him. At the same time, Momo wakes up with her face in the water, just a few meters from the creature. She tries to drag herself out of the creek quietly, but her escape attempt is soon noticed. Ling and Shui arrive when she is struggling against the current to flee from the monster. Putting the cell phone to wake up, Ling manages to trick it and helps Momo out of the water. Then he sees what looks like a fallen hatchling and decides to take it with him. As soon as the monster realizes the trick, it notices a beam of light in the middle of the forest. It's Jun's flashlight, which is becoming increasingly lost and suddenly finds himself face to face with the creature. He runs to hide under the rocks and waits for the danger to pass before coming out. However, the beast shows that it has learned this trick and knocks him down into the creek as soon as he exits, ending Jun once and for all. Meanwhile, the others return to the resort and begin to gather all the available fuel. Traumatized, Momo keeps an eye outside but only sees the monster when it is already a couple of inches from her face. The adults don't hear her scream as she falls from the platform, but the monster hears very well the cries of its hatchling trapped in the cage. Ling defends himself using the hatchling as a shield while Shui strikes the match. The prisoner escapes from the cage and attacks Shui but ends up landing in the flames. Furious, the monster does not forgive the audacity and attacks Shui moments before the explosion. Momo crawls to Ling and is incredulous to see the monster completely intact. It jumps to attack her, and she faints again, waking up to Ling's voice. He is right behind the monster, armed with a spear, and the hatchling is lying on the ground near them. Then Ling screams and prepares to be attacked by the monster, which falls into his trap and leaps onto the spear. It continues to struggle for a long time until Momo finishes it off. Then the hatchling also wakes up, and Momo goes to it with a heavy stone, killing it with a single blow. A year later, she is again celebrating her birthday, and Ling is the only guest. Shortly after blowing out the candles, Momo looks up at the sky with a look of horror, and we see another meteor approaching.